I hate riding the express bus like that. It's, you know, I don't mind as long as it's going along, but once you hit traffic, oh gosh. But it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. And by the way, I am in Chungju, which is normally about an hour and a half south of Seoul on the expressway. Today it took a little over 2 hours, which wasn't too bad, or right about 2 hours. So, you know, it has taken 3 or 4 in the past. This morning it was a straight shot pretty much for the first hour, and then we got bogged down in traffic for about 30 minutes, and then it opened up again. So I'm in Chungju, and I just came out of the bus terminal, and I am going to walk to my mother-in-law's house. So I'll show you a little bit of Chungju on the way. The first time I came to Chungju, it felt very country, and it had this, I mean, it's a pretty good-sized little town, but it still felt country and kind of out of time compared to Seoul. But in the last several years, it's caught up. We've got all these, you know, modern apartments, and there's some, it looks like new tower apartments over there in the distance. That bus terminal that I came out of is fairly modern. It's been pretty interesting watching how Chungju has changed over the years, because I get the sense that it hasn't happened at the rate that change happens in Seoul. So it's been more gradual. And you know, I come down here, well, not so often these days actually, since my mother-in-law is living with us in Seoul. We don't get down here as often as we used to. We used to come here, I don't know, maybe 4 times a year, 5 times a year. And lately, I haven't been down here very much, maybe just twice a year for the past 2 or 3 years. So anyway, it's, you know, semi-regular. And almost every time I come down, I notice something new, but nothing drastically new, if you get what I mean. So, you know, there are, you know, much of Chungju still has the same character and the same vibe that it did when I first visited here not long after I met my wife. So in case you somehow missed the title of this video, I'm here in Chungju for the Lunar New Year holiday. It is a big holiday in Korea. It's one of the 2 biggest. Normally it's a 3-day holiday, but I don't know when they started doing this, but not long ago they started adding an extra day if one of the 3 days falls on a Sunday. And that is the case this year. The 3rd day falls on a Sunday, so we get a 4-day holiday this time. I'm probably gonna have to cut my walk short. I was hoping to be able to walk all the way to my mother-in-law's house, but that's gonna be, it's been so long since I've done it, I can't remember exactly how long it is. It's somewhere around 30 to 40 minutes, but they are almost ready for the Jesa. That's the little ceremony they do to honor their ancestors. So when I first started coming here, it was, you know, my wife's grandparents that they were doing that for, and my father-in-law passed about almost 4 years ago, just over 3 years, and so now, you know, we have a place for him there. But I should be there for that, so I will probably have to take a taxi before too much longer. But I'll show you a little bit more of the city before I flag one down, if I can flag one down. So it's 9 o'clock, just after 9 o'clock in the morning. And normally the streets would be bustling, but they're pretty empty. But if you look down the side streets, you see lots and lots of cars parked along the sides. During the holidays, the parked cars are much more dense. There are many, many, many more of them than there are on the non-holidays, and that's from all of the people who were born in Chungju or who have, relatives in Chungju who are coming here for the holiday. So they'll come here and take up every available space they can find to park. And so you have this situation where the streets are relatively empty compared to normal in terms of actual traffic, but all the alleys and the curbs are all full from the higher than normal number of parked cars. I think the only thing that gets busy, there's a lake, a small lake in a park, and right next to it is a Starbucks, and the Starbucks actually has a drive-through. It's in its own building, which is very unusual in Korea. In Seoul, all the Starbucks locations are in, office buildings or whatever. I think I've seen one in Seoul that is in its own building, but here in Chungju, I think there are two that have their own building, and they both have drive-throughs. And the one over by that lake, every holiday gets full, and the drive-through line, is just backed up, all the way into the street and around the corner, which is a little bit annoying because that's the closest Starbucks to my mother-in-law's house.
You're my favorite place to go, just to dream of the things that we'll see.
The old bus terminal used to be over there, where these two buildings are, right here.
There's just something that I can't explain, but you're making my doubts run away. You make me believe that this world is worth saving, even if only for you. You make it easy to fight for the moments, to breathe the same air that you do. Don't ever change when everyone cares. Stay true, 'cause from time to time all the stars are aligned, and heaven sends someone like you.
So this area right here, this is like Myeongdong in Seoul, if you're familiar with Myeongdong, or at least like Myeongdong used to be, before all the street food vendors and all the tourists and all of that, and not really a lot of high-end shops here, but yeah, it's like the downtown shopping district. And every town in Korea, every country town of certain size has one of these areas. So I did not see a single available taxi the whole way. So it's, I'm almost there. It wasn't too bad though. So far it's been about 25 minutes, roughly. And I'm less than 5 minutes out. So I am not gonna take you all the way inside just yet. I'll probably show you the table, but I know everybody in the family, they're gonna be camera shy and reluctant for me to be filming inside. And I'm not gonna film the ceremony. So I will get back to you in just a little bit. Stay tuned. I never enjoy the bus ride down or the drive down to Chungju, but I do enjoy being here. The air feels different, and during the holidays, the place is just peaceful compared to Seoul. And you know, on a normal day, it can be bustling and busy and noisy, but yeah, during the holidays, it's peaceful. And this place here, they've really cleaned it up since I first came here. So the first time I came to Chungju was in the autumn of 1998, and it was during the Chuseok holiday, what they call the Korean Thanksgiving, the harvest festival, harvest celebration, whatever you want to call it. And I didn't know anything about the traditions or the customs on that day. Yeah, nice to meet you. I've been coming down here almost every Chuseok and Lunar New Year since then. I did skip, you know, a handful. But until my father-in-law passed away, I didn't really feel connected to it. You know, these customs were not my customs. They're not my traditions. It was, you know, my family's, my wife's family, you know, it was their thing. And, you know, when they did the Jesa, bowing in front of the table, it's the two rice bowls that were there for my wife's grandparents. I have no connection to them. I never met them. I don't, you know. So I used to just sit back and, you know, watch. But now, since my father-in-law has passed, there's an extra bowl of rice there, and I have a connection to that. So now I'm a participant instead of an observer. And being a participant makes it a bit more meaningful to me now. It's a good way to honor my father-in-law's memory. He was an interesting character, and I think, you know, we had a pretty good relationship for the 22 years that I knew him, and he's missed.
You're my favorite face to see in the crowd when I'm feeling alone. And my favorite tune to sing along to when I'm far from home. There's just something that I can't explain, but you make the clouds run away. You make me believe that this world is worth saving, even if only for you. And you make it easy to fight for the moments, to breathe the same air that you do. Don't ever change when everyone cares. Stay true. 'Cause from time to time all the stars are aligned, and heaven sends someone like you.
It's just after 6 o'clock now. I've got a bus at 5 minutes after 7 to get back to Seoul. My wife and her mother will head up tomorrow, probably in the late afternoon. They've got reservations at like 4 o'clock, but she might try to switch it to something earlier if she can. They're gonna play it by ear. So I hope you enjoyed this little peek into the Lunar New Year holiday and into Chungju. I expect I'm going to record some more tomorrow to add some context. I wasn't sure, you know, what I was going to do when I came down here this morning. I just figured, you know, I'll bring my camera with me and see what comes of it. So I'll probably want to add something to it. Right, so it's not tomorrow, it's next week. Earlier in the video, you heard me refer to the New Year's Day ceremony as Jesa. I found out this past week that is incorrect. I've had a misunderstanding all these years. It's actually called Charye. And Jesa is something that's more formal. It's what they do on the anniversary of somebody's deaths. It can be for more general ancestor honoring. Charye is what they do on the major holidays, the Lunar New Year's Day and Chuseok, Korean Thanksgiving. It's a pretty simple thing. You saw the table with the fruit and the side dishes and the meat and the rice all laid out, set up. That's for the ancestors. There's one bowl of rice for each person you're honoring. At my wife's house, we had 3 bowls of rice, 2 for her grandparents, 1 for her father. And you saw the spoons sticking straight up. That's something they do in these ceremonies. You never do that when you're eating. When you're out at a restaurant or at somebody's house, never, ever, ever stick your spoon in the rice. Just don't do that. Lay it on top of the bowl or on the table. Chopsticks too. Top of the bowl or just on the table. Don't stick it in the rice. And the ceremony is, like I said, it's very simple. Everybody just takes turns bowing. You get down on your knees, put your hands, on the floor and your forehead to your hands. You do that twice. You bow, stand up, bow, stand up. And once everybody's gone, then you give them time. When I say gone, I mean taking their turn, not left. Sorry. You give the deceased time to eat, symbolically, of course. And when that time is finished, whoever's managing things, in our case these days it's my brother-in-law, he'll do one more bow, and that's pretty much it. Now there is some alcohol involved. There's this special kind of alcohol called Chungju. It's a rice wine. It's similar to sake, which you're probably more familiar with. So yeah, that's basically it. And then there's also another component of the day. It's not part of the chale. It's chare. It's separate from that. It's called sebe, and this is where the younger people bow to their living elders, and basically the elders just sit in the floor. The young people come by, and it's the same kind of bow. You get down on your knees, put your head to the floor, that kind of thing. And typically for the younger, the youngest of the younger, the young adults, teenagers, children, the elders will give them money once they're done. I think past a certain age, most people don't do that. My wife's parents sometimes would jokingly give us money, but usually it was just our niece getting money, and she cleaned up because she was the only kid there. She got money from every elder who was around, even me. After all of that stuff is done, there's breakfast, and breakfast is some of the same food that you saw on the table for the deceased. The meat we use again, and the side dishes usually. All the snacks and the fruit usually we take away. But the main dish of Lunar New Year is dokguk. Guk means it's a kind of soup, and dok is the rice cake, the Korean rice cakes. And so they slice up some rice cake, put it in the broth, and you get dokguk. And I always find it a little bit bland. I always have to put like a lot of pepper in it or something. But typically I like dokmandu-guk, and it's just dokguk with mandu put into it. Mandu is the pork dumplings, well, usually pork, but dumplings. And my wife's family in the past usually made mandu, homemade mandu, every Lunar New Year's Day. So my wife and I would come down the day before and help. Her mother would mix the meat and made it kind of spicy. Her father would do the dough and flatten it out and cut out some circles with cookie cutters. And then my wife and I would take the circles and put some meat in them, shape them, and voila, you've got some mandu. And that was really good. I missed that. We haven't done that in quite a while, actually. It's been probably 6 or 7 years since the last time we made mandu on Lunar New Year's Day. But anyway, yeah, that's basically it. That is the Lunar New Year's Day tradition in my wife's family in a nutshell. Now, as far as I know, most families do something
broadly similar. There may be some variations in the type of food they put on the table, or when they do the sebe, or I don't know. I've only seen the one family up close. Maybe one day I'll do a deep dive into some of these customs and traditions. No promises though. Just something in the back of my mind, and it's definitely not a priority. One last thing to say: Happy New Year in Korean, whether it's the Lunar New Year or the Gregorian New Year, you say 새해 복 많이 받으세요. 새해 복, 새해 is like the New Year. 복 is like good fortune, wealth, just good stuff, good things. And 받으세요 means to receive, right? So 새해 복 많이 받으세요. 많이 means a lot. So basically you're wishing the person you say it to receive a lot of good fortune, money, happiness, whatever. 복 is a lot of good stuff, basically. For a long time, I thought it just was another word for money, but it's bigger than that. As always, thank you for watching and liking and subscribing. It really means a lot to me that what you guys do. I really appreciate it. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye.